the great rage that lived and lurked inside of Chikatilo.
Sex was the vehicle, but the basic need was to feel a sense of power over his victims.
Chikatilo killed with even more brutality than before. He stabbed his victim repeatedly, then savagely bit her.
He was really getting even. He was angry with humanity, but especially with women. He was seeking revenge, and he was getting revenge against the people who rejected him the most.
With this second murder, the veneer of Chikatilo's normal life shattered. A pathology spawned by years of frustration took over. Chikatilo became a serial killer.
He was a man who was impotent. What does the word impotent means? It means literally without power. So in every case, whether he was dealing with the young boys, the young girls, or the young women, it was essential for Chikatilo to establish physical dominance and control over the victim.
Gratification has been mixed up with anger and hostility, and one complements the other to the degree that you can't even separate them. He became intensely excited and even would spontaneously ejaculate during that mutilation that had taken place.
Then he cut off pieces of his victims' bodies.
Chikatilo admitted making the incisions, admitted removing the uterus, but would never quite cop to the fact that he ate the uterus. He said, "I liked to nibble on it. They were so pink and springy." Those were the words he used.
What had started as a quest for sexual satisfaction had now become a murder spree, the worst in Russian history. (1984), Rostov-on-Don, Russia. Andrei Chikatilo had now murdered 23 people. Faced with these brutal killings, police began to question anyone who looked suspicious. On September 13th, two Rostov detectives spotted a 6-foot-tall man wearing a black fur cap.
He was trying to make conversation with a young girl. It was decided not to detain him on the spot, but follow up and see what he was going to do.
The officers tailed the suspect as he approached one young woman after another. Eventually, they observed him fondling a prostitute in a deserted station. This act of public lewdness was enough for detectives to arrest the man. He identified himself as Andrei Chikatilo. He was carrying a small leather case.
He had a briefcase, and in the briefcase was Vaseline, ropes, and knives. Well, that sounds to me like what we refer to as a kill kit.
But after questioning Chikatilo, investigators discovered that he was a devoted family man and a loyal Communist Party member. He was eventually released.
They were looking for a young killer who had a criminal record, who might have been known as a sexual pervert in his community.
He had gray hair, thick glasses. He was tall and skinny with a little pouch of a belly. He seemed to be just another face in the crowd of people that you would see in a provincial Soviet city.
In addition, police laboratories mishandled a blood test that could have tied Chikatilo to the crimes.
Well, the Russian police were, first of all, technologically in the Stone Age, and in terms of organization were on that level as well. So typically blood and sperm samples would get lost.
That in itself was an example of the failures of Soviet science and of Soviet production capabilities.
Chikatilo was free to kill again. Police were desperate to stop the attacks, so they decided to try an American criminological technique, psychological profiling. Psychiatrist Alexander Bukhanovsky was recruited to create a psychological portrait of the killer.
Preparing the criminal's profile took several months of hard work. I had access to top secret materials that have never been published.
By analyzing this evidence, Bukhanovsky painted an intriguing description of the killer.
Bukhanovsky said that the criminal was unsociable, that he was very ill. He stressed sexual perversions. He said the criminal could either be living on his own or with a wife, but he didn't have a sexual relationship with her.
Yet it would take police another 6 years